Sorry about that. You can hear me now loud and clear. What's up, fight fans? And we are back at it with another edition here at Round One Sports TV. I am your host, Edwin. Thank you for joining the live stream. What's up, Carlos? How you doing in the building? Where do all fights start? Round one. Let's get this show popping right now. We got a lot to discuss. The Keyshawn Davis fight is tomorrow. Subriel Matias is fighting Saturday. You guys got anything you guys want to talk about? Any fighters? Leave it in the comments. I'll be answering your comments today. I'm going to leave a link in the chat. Anybody wants to join? We can talk about anything you want. But the debate right now, and the topic is Keyshawn Davis taking shots at Tank Davis. What does this mean? And now Keyshawn Davis and Shakur Stevenson trying to like tag up and go at Gervonta Davis. So we're going to cover all that. Let's talk about it. So let's get right into this episode. So Keyshawn Davis has a fight tomorrow coming up. A lot of us know that. And a lot of us were aware of some of the things that, he said. Shouts out to Cigar Talk, Najee. Keyshawn Davis went on the show, and I actually went on the show too, right? And as I was sitting in the chat box, right, and I was about to meet Keyshawn or talk to him for the first time real quick, I kind of asked him like an interview question rather than a quick question. But at the same time, I started seeing the vibe in the room. And I saw right away that if you try to tell him something in this moment, that he wasn't going to respond well. Although Keyshawn Davis tried to like tell the world that he's ready and that he sent contracts out to all these fighters. First of all, boxing doesn't typically work like that. These things about contracts and stuff, sending contracts out and shit, that's like, when you already got like an agreement, you don't got secretaries at top rank just whipping out contracts, just mailing them out to people. No, this is all, you're paying people to do these things. So all this about Keyshawn Davis sending people contracts, I see his passion. I see that he's trying to be serious with the 135-pound weight division, and he's trying to put the division on notice. He's trying to tell the division, here I am, right? But I was trying to tell the young man, slow down. You got 11 fights, and this is your first main event you're headlining. Your first one. And all of a sudden, you want to tug on Superman's coat, on Tank Davis. And Tank Davis is a global superstar that made himself into that type of fighter. Tank Davis is finding out the same thing when he was young and wasn't showing no respect to former world champions or current world champions. As a young lion, as he starts to age, which in fact today or yesterday was his birthday, he turned 30 years old. Happy birthday, Gervonta Tank Davis. He's starting to realize that they're not showing him any respect neither. And that this sport is, it can be a harsh sport, right? So I try to tell Keyshawn Davis a little bit about himself. And I said, yo, Keyshawn, my man, like, you know, I just want him to look. When I talk, I don't want to give off the impression that I believe that Keyshawn Davis is afraid of Gervonta Tank Davis. I think Keyshawn Davis is a big guy for that weight division. I believe that he's strong, he's good, he has what it takes to become a world champion, right? But the men that are currently the world champion in that exact same division, men like Loma, Shakur Stevenson, Tank Davis, they are some of the top fighters in the world. That is a very tough weight division, right? So as we can see today with Keyshawn Davis's fight that's scheduled, his fighter comes in 6 pounds overweight. We'll talk about that. So Gervonta Davis hears Keyshawn Davis. What I have to say to Keyshawn Davis is, listen, I get your passion. I get that you want to put your name out there, but there's ways about this. And at the level that Keyshawn Davis is, he should have said, eventually, or I'm ready to be a world champion. If I was given an opportunity to fight the top guys, I wouldn't shy away. But as of right now, I'm looking to secure this victory and potentially make an in-house fight for the WBO title. Perhaps go that way, get a belt, and then in the future relive that Tank Davis fight. Because we all know, they can call out Tank Davis, Keyshawn Davis. He can call out Tank all he wants. But he knows that Tank is not even in his lane. Tank's way up there. And Keyshawn's back here in traffic, stuck. Keyshawn think, because he cool as hell or whatever, he think he could just skip the line. That's not going to happen. Gervonta Davis is done with gimme fights. I can tell you that right now. He's done with these fights that, he's in a position now where I feel like he's taking control and he's more active in his decision making in his career. I know that there's people that, try matchmakers and set these fights up. But I would like to ask Gervonta Davis personally, to see what is he doing now in his career? What's the difference between being with Floyd Mayweather and where he's at now? Does he have more say in who he fights? Does he have more involvement into making these fights? So those are the kind of things I would like to know about Gervonta Davis, right? As far as Keyshawn Davis goes, the young man has 11 fights. A lot of people feel he was clout chasing when he called out all the guys. And I kind of took that isn't that what he's supposed to do? When Ryan Garcia kept calling out Tank Davis acknowledged to the world, hey, how do you feel about Ryan Garcia constantly calling you out, Tank? Tank said, That's what he's supposed to do. Tank said that's what he's supposed to do. I get what he's doing because that's exactly what you're supposed to do. So Keyshawn Davis goes on and does the same exact thing that every other fighter did, which speaks to the level of champion, fighter, and man Gervonta Tank Davis made himself. When people are calling out your name, and it's just not one person, multiple people are calling Gervonta, it just doesn't seem to be the right people calling his name out. It seems to be a lot of guys that want a free ride to the top and a payday because they know he's the cash cow. He's one of the faces of boxing we have today. So if you can get that fight, you're going to get some good money. So it seems like a lot of people are calling his name now, just not the right people. Sure the hell ain't Shakur Stevenson. It's not Loma. And it's not Berenchek. Excuse me if I pronounce his name wrong. The WBO champion at 135. Ain't none of those guys. None of the not the right guys. Keyshawn Davis wants to change his stars. And he wants to show that he is the real Davis in this equation. There's a problem. There's already a Davis in this division. Tank Davis. And I got to admit, sometimes I got to back up from Tank because I love that fighter so much, bro. Tank, I believe in Tank so much, man. And I got to back up sometimes because I want Tank to prove it to the world. I want him to destroy all the top guys. If you haven't watched Tank Davis fight in quite some times, and I mean fight, what he did to Frank the Ghost Martin was a masterclass. But when Tank Davis wants to box and fight, man, go back and look at that Yuri Gamboza fight. Go back and look at that Leo Santa Cruz fight. Go back and look at that Mario Barrio fight. Yo, Tank is a beast. He's relentless. He won't give these guys opportunities to think or breathe. And if you're in front of Tank for a little bit too long, Tank's going to test you. And man, does he throw everything with bad intentions. You go back and you watch him in his fights. Then you watch fighters like Keyshawn Davis and you see the level gap. I respect the young man for daring to be great and put his name in the mix to that way. See, this is going to get to Tank's ears. You see? But Tank, you know, I really believe he's in a different situation. But Keyshawn Davis, right? Keyshawn Davis, he can play backup fighter until he gets there in the next 2 years. Because in 2 years from now, Keyshawn's going to be well ready for any of those fighters in the division. I'll put Keyshawn against any of these fighters. It's just that in certain boxing situations, I have not seen Keyshawn Davis in certain boxing situations. There's a lot he needs to learn. I understand he's believing in himself. He's got the skills. He's got, you know, it's just that Tank's on a different level, and that's all I have to say to that. If you don't believe me, the next time Tank Davis fight, you're going to see what kind of level he's on. Because the world is going to remind you the remarkable knockout streak that Tank Davis is currently on. The only person Tank Davis didn't knock out of late is Esau Pitbull Cruz. Because he broke his hands and he was so short. He kept punching him on the top of the head. Right? That's the only fighter that he hasn't knocked out of late. Tank's a real monster. And he would, I don't think Keyshawn Davis hits harder, believe me or not, right? When I tell you guys this, and I'll stand on this, I don't think Keyshawn Davis hits harder than Ryan Garcia. No. I don't think Tio hits harder than Ryan. Nah. Nope. Not anymore. Ever since Tio moved up from 130, 135, not everybody's power moves with them. And I noticed that ever since Tio came up from 130 to 135, he ain't been cracking nobody. It's like that power went away at 130. He was dropping dudes. He just ain't doing it now. He couldn't even stop um uh uh um oh my god, I'm having such a brain fart right now. Um Josh Taylor. He couldn't stop Josh Taylor. And Jack Catterall and kind of like showed that Josh Taylor lost a step. He showed the world that. And I look, I don't think none of these guys crack harder than Ryan. For as funny as that sounds, because you hear the name Ryan and you're like, oh, this kid, right? Ryan's knocking dudes' backs motors out. Ryan got Tank Davis giving him credit. Ryan can crack. So if Ryan Garcia was catching up to Tank, and he couldn't put little Tank down, bro. It goes to show that Tank also has a good chin. Tank can take a punch. I'm not sure if Keyshawn Davis right now at his age, um, Keyshawn Davis is what? He's all of 22 years old, I think he is, right? I just don't see it. And I don't think that he really wants that fight right now, but I understand what he's doing. We have to understand that this is called prize fighting. Fighters, right? Some of these guys are also thinking about longevity in prize fighting, but also setting up fights for the future. Like Keyshawn Davis doing this, when we relive this moment, this is going to build to the fire the anticipation of their mega showdown if Keyshawn Davis could keep his end of the bargain, meaning he has a fight tomorrow. And for some reason, the boxing world seems to be overlooking this guy in my eyes. A lot of people are saying, oh, Keyshawn should win this fight hands down. This guy came in 6 pounds overweight. And I mean the minute he whoops Keyshawn Davis's ass, better not nobody say anything about that 6 pounds. Because here's another example of Keyshawn Davis believing in Keyshawn Davis. They asked him before the fight, Keyshawn, the guy came in 6 pounds overweight. Do you want to continue with the fight? The words out of Keyshawn Davis's mouth were, you're damn right. I'm whooping his ass regardless. Right? And have you ever been with a friend out on a basketball court or whatever, right? And you're whooping his ass and you guys are betting $1 or something on it as kids, right? And you tell him you're beating him. And he says to you, next shot wins. He misses, you hit the next shot. Now he wants to renege. He wants to, oh no, I didn't bet that. Oh no, I didn't. There's always that kid. There's always that guy that wants to renege after you told him the ground rules to the game. You guys played 21, you beat him in 21. Now he made up some fake ass rules. Next shot wins. Because he can't beat you in 21. So you happen to hit the next shot. He wants to change the rules up again. Best out of 3. You know that guy that never wants to lose? So if Keyshawn Davis took this fight knowing his opponent couldn't make weight, he's a dramatic 6 pounds over. We all saw the controversy Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney over 3.5 pounds before the PE scandal broke, right? Because they didn't know until a week after the fight that he tested positive. So for the first entire week, what was Devin Haney and his father saying? Ryan cheated because he came in 3.5 pounds overweight. That's not cheating when you were informed. He missed weight. They told you what it was. You could have pulled out the fight. They'll go on Keyshawn Davis's card. They'll put somebody at the main event, and Keyshawn gets paid for being a professional and making weight. And the guy moves on, right? And we all move on. But the minute, and I mean the minute, you were informed, notified, they tapped you on the hey, this guy's 6 pounds overweight. If you say yes and lose, you lost, in my eyes, fair and square. The 6 pounds cannot be brought up again. There is no disadvantage. It's not like they told you after the fight, hey, guess what? He was 6 pounds over. Now you cheated. I was not informed. I was not given a right to make a decision whether or not I wanted to proceed with said fight. But once you take the bet, or once you say yeah, and you lose, now you're going to be a sore sport? Now you're going to complain about what happened? I don't think that's right. I think you're a sore sport. Yeah, that guy Ryan wasn't a professional that day. Nope. And that guy, he got on stage and he said, I got too confident. I thought I could cut weight. I fucked up, miscalculated. All right, cool. Tell you the truth, this is not a world title fight. It's all for those Mickey Mouse belts, but, for a fighter, those belts are impressive, because it goes to show you that, at least you're at this level. But as real champions, this fight is not for a belt. I don't want to discredit Keyshawn Davis's accomplishments for getting those secondary belts or whatever name you want to put on them, interim, whatever, right? Because those belts actually are a good award and an indication that you're a good boxer and you're going in the right direction. If you could get those little belts, shit, let's go after the real world championship. So, those belts for motivation and giving you courage as a fighter, they're good in that way. Do I respect them? That's another story. Let's stay to the fight. So Keyshawn Davis, he was notified. And I remember this guy. I remember when he fought Richard Hitchinson. And I remember at 140, bigger weight. This guy's coming down to 135 to fight Keyshawn Davis. And everybody's taking him lightly. And I'm like, wait a minute, guys. Now he comes in 6 pounds overweight. When he goes to gain his weight, he's going to even be that much heavier than Keyshawn. Keyshawn and his brothers, you saw his brothers and all them weigh in and shit. They're all like skinny dudes. They're naturally, that's how they frame is. I think Keyshawn, out of all the brothers, he's going to be the one to beef up a little bit. But as of right now, Keyshawn weighed in 134 and a half. This guy weighed in 141, his opponent. 6 pounds, man. And when you say 3 pounds, it's a lot of weight in your argument versus Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney. Then what the fuck is 6 pounds is? Luis Pantera Nari came in overweight, 5 pounds. And they banned them from Japan for life. For coming in a fight overweight for 5 pounds. And before anybody types in, nobody tested positive for PEs. Bro, that was a year before that fight. He tested positive in the first fight with the Japanese guy. Right? He fought him the second time. He wasn't suspended for Japan for testing positive for the PEs. They approved the fight. No lifetime ban at that point was handed out. What they got sick and tired of was the disrespect of coming in overweight. For 5 pounds, that's exactly what Luis Pantera Nari got a lifetime ban over, kicked out of Japan. What up, guys? Josh Taylor, yeah. Ryan hit harder, yeah. Yo, remember when Tank Davis was able to speak freely, right? So Tank Davis goes on that interview, and Tank Davis is like, yo, they asked him, yo, Tank, between me and you, whatever, what fighter ever hit you the hardest in your career? He said, no cap, Ryan Garcia. He hit different. And the reason why Tank Davis said that, and he's free to say that, is because he beat him. If I beat you, and now had Tank Davis not beat him, he might not want to say that. And in a sport where that we lead by machismo, ain't no man willing to give another man credit or say he's better than me in boxing. That's not happening. Usually when they retire, Tank Davis, an active fighter, the reason why he was able to admit that is because he beat Ryan. But he let the world know something. Then remember when Ryan knocked out Oscar's molder back tooth? He took out his mouthpiece and the fucking Ryan his tooth came out. I was like, damn, Ryan's cracking like that. And then the way I saw the big reaction he got out of Devin Haney in the first round like that. I never seen anybody punch Devin Haney. And Devin Haney can punch. He got hit by Linares. He did the little chicken leg. Yeah, okay. But he still took the punch well. And I thought Linares is a seasoned vet. I thought he was, going to bang better than Ryan. You look at Ryan and you're like, look at this Mexican Superman looking motherfucker with his hair slicked back and shit, right? You like, you too pretty to be a fighter. But that'll mess you up, And so I was like, yo, okay, Tank told the truth. And what does that say about Tank Davis? It speaks to the level of fighter that he is. He weathered that storm. He took that punch. He wasn't all stanky leg like Devin Haney in the ring when Ryan hit him. He took that punch well, and he had a great poker face. You couldn't even tell that Tank was like a little bothered by the punch. He took the punches well. And that's one thing in the sport of boxing that you also have to have is a good poker face. He had the best poker face in the game. You can never tell if Mayweather was tired, hurt. His face expression would never change. Only when he was like dominating the fight and he was telling you, yo, shut up and fight. Pow! And he was banging on dudes. That was Floyd. Tank, he got a good poker face, man. He doesn't give you shit. Sometimes when you're in the ring, you're up close against a guy, and you could hit him. You could hear him go, ugh. And you're like, yeah, I got you. Ha! And you digging into his ribs, come up the middle, right? And Tank, like, he's an exceptional fighter. I just truly believe that I think Tank Davis has been in the ring already with good boxers. The fact that they didn't have a name like his will give you this false impression that Tank ain't fought nobody. But that's further from the truth. Tank fought Leo Santa Cruz. He's a Hall of Fame fighter. He's going to the Hall of Fame. Yuri Gamboa, the list goes, like, he didn't fight like the biggest name guys. But Yuri was a great fighter. You're not going to do that to Leo Santa Cruz. Leo Santa Cruz coming into that Tank Davis fight, although he came up from a smaller weight division, this is one of those cases where I talk about Naoya Inoue and Junto Nakatoni. When he moves up, ain't nobody going to call Junto the smaller guy. And he's coming down from a lower weight division. When Leo Santa Cruz finally entered the ring with Tank Davis, bro, he was like this on Tank. His shoulders were wider, but they were calling him the smaller fighter. I didn't understand it. I was like, how the fuck is he the smaller fighter? He's taller. He got more range, everything. And he even weighed more on the fight. So I'm like, I can see where these guys are always trying to like not give some fighters their credit. But I know what my boxing eye sees. And I know that if Shakur Stevenson doesn't take this fight, bro, this is where we're at. There's nothing else left at this point. I don't know what the hell Loma's doing with that belt. The IBF needs to take that shit away from him. Holding up the division. My heart's not. Bro, you're in a warrior sport. We don't want to hear that your heart's not in it in a sport that leads with blood. That's not the kind of comment as a fight fan I want to hear. I want to hear that my fighter, my warrior, ain't scared of nobody, and he wants all smoke, ain't ducking nobody. That's the guy that I want to support. That's my fighter. And even if my fighter wasn't like that, I still want to believe that my fighter would go for it. That the guy that I'm backing is about that life. He wants to be a real champion. Win, lose, or draw, I got his back. Matias. Right? So, when Tank, listen, can Keyshawn Davis beat Tank Davis? Perhaps in 2 years. Right now, Keyshawn, you don't want to do that. And I'm not taking shots at Keyshawn. I am not. And I'm not saying that just outright. I just think if we're looking at things from his perspective, let's give Tank his credit too. As the man that he is. It's like Keyshawn wants to overlook everything Tank's been through. And all the fights he's had. And do I believe Keyshawn Davis can go out there and knock Frank the Ghost Martin out like that? I'm not sure. I think he might outpoint him. I think that would be an amazing fight. I'm not really sure who would win that fight out of Keyshawn and Frank. That's actually a fight I would like to see. Do I think that Keyshawn Davis can just outright beat Andy Cruz right now? Andy Cruz only got 4 fights. And I'm like, he could be Andy Cruz because he has not so much pro experience, ton of amateur experience, medaled in the Olympics. But when people bring up those points about the Olympics and pros, we've talked about this, they are so far apart from each other that the only thing that you basically have in common is that you guys have boxing gloves on. Amateur pro. That's how far apart they are in styles and what you have to actually do. Amateur boxing is 3 rounds, 16-ounce gloves, headgear, and there's no strategy. It's pretty much rock'em sock'em robots. You got 3 rounds to win a fight. You better not lose 2, right? What do you think they're doing in there? There's no feeling out process. There's not enough time to set shit up. There's not enough time to make reads in amateur boxing. There's not enough time for any of that. You're in there and you guys are going forward. That's it. That's amateur boxing. You don't got to go 10 rounds, 12, 3 measly rounds. That's where most of us, all of us, if not all of us, start off at. There's some guys that come into the game with no amateur experience, believe it or not. But that's typically where we start. They talk about these gold medals in the Olympics with Vasily High-Tech Lomachenko, and I'm like, bro, you medaled too much in the Olympics. You needed to get 1 medal and come in, It's cool. It's cool. Now there's no more Olympics. I don't know what the men and women are gonna do or if that's gonna stick. No more boxing in the Olympics. It's sad, but that's where we got to. Um, and that'll be another topic for another day. But as far as this Keyshawn Davis thing and a lot of the narrative, it's is he or is he not cloud chasing? Okay, let me clear something up right now, right here on my show. I went on recently and I got on to KO Boxing 86. And I wake up in the morning and sometimes I like myself a good debate. You know what I'm saying? I just like to talk about boxing. I be bored as shit. And even though I'm not really that, like, my heart's not into what I'm talking about or debating about with, because I really not truly in that side, out of just pure fun, I'm getting on and I'll play devil's advocate. I'll take the other guy's argument side and we can debate it. You know what I'm saying? It keeps me sharp, keeps me sharp, because I went in on and I debated and I stuck up for Keyshawn Davis. I took Keyshawn Davis's side on KO boxing because KO is strictly Tank. And I love Tank too. And I'm a fan of Tank more than I am of Keyshawn. But just let I want to see where your debating mind is at, and it keeps us sharp. So I hops in and I go with my own narrative. Keyshawn, boom, right? But I held my own great, right? And in the debate, the question was whether or not Keyshawn Davis is considered to be a cloud chaser for using Tank Davis's name to try to get star status, right? And the thing with that is this. Here's my true opinion on what took place, because this is my platform, Round One Sports Talk. And when I come here, I'm going to tell the truth. On the other platforms, I'll play along, or I'll play devil's advocate, or even on mine sometimes. But I'll let you guys know when I go on theirs, I just go with the narrative, with the thing, right? But on my show right here, the truth is that's cloud chasing at its finest. It is. Keyshawn Davis knows it. I know it. The entire world pretty much knows it. But at the same time, you have to get your name out there. What Tio is doing with Terrence Crawford, that's 100% cloud chasing. That's a guy calling out another guy that not even in your weight division. You're two divisions separated from each other. That's pure cloud chasing right there in its finest, right? What Keyshawn is doing is cloud chasing with class, with a little bit of class. There's a difference. Still cloud chasing, but he has a valid case. Dude, you're actually in my weight division. You're actually the champion. And I'm actually calling you out. Where he did it is where he gets the criticism for. He used his fight, his his moment. They got the mics in his face, got the most eyes viewing him. He got a fight coming up, and he used that moment. But what other moment would you want him to use? What would be the best time to try to put your name among the best fighters? And even though you know that you're not going to fight him because you got this fight next, Tank is in the mix of fixing his fight. And after you get out of this fight, you're 100% not in Tank Davis's radar. You haven't put yourself there yet. So by him agreeing and say, oh yeah, I'll mess him up, I'll F him up, I'll do this and do that. You guys weren't in each other's lane yet in your division. So by doing that, you're using the best global superstar to try to make yourself irrelevant. And that's how a lot of people took it. And in this sport, the man that told us that this sport and all fighters need to understand this one important lesson, that this is boxing and there's a part of this that's entertainment. You're going to have to give these people fighters are learning this. Look at Jermaine Ortiz, how vocal he's been of late. Look at Isaac coming into the tail t- Taylor what's his name? Taylor starts with an H. I can't believe I'm missing these names right now. Howard. When Isaac got on against Howard today in the weigh-in on the Tank Davis card, the lady said, "You've been real boisterous coming into this fight. I've never seen you like this." He said, "Because it's time to let the 160-pound weight division know that I'm here to stay. I'm the champion and I'm taking over." Guys start to see that they're going to have to say some shit. And it's part entertainment, getting new viewers, getting people to believe, "Oh, look at who's this guy on the stage talking like a killer. What he about?" Yeah, and you see him up there with the mic. "I'm gonna take the blah, 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 blah," right? Like Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson used to say it the best. The guy that talks the most shit, people tune in. What's he saying? What's he doing? Who he talking to? They want to know who you talking to like that. And these fighters see that, yeah, there is but when it comes out fake, real recognize real, and some of us can see through that bullshit. I was laughing inside while I was doing the interview with KO because I knew the whole time. I'm like, this motherfucker's classic. But like I said, I love fucking drama shit sometimes, and I always love a good fight, So if there's a sign that says fights here, and you see me walking in, you're gonna know why. Because, you know, but I really think that, Keyshawn Davis, uh, he's got a lot to prove. But I can see what the young man is doing, and it's not right, right? A gentleman said this on KO Boxing yesterday. He says, just because you can do it and we see all these other fighters that do it, doesn't make it right. And in a sense, it doesn't make it right, right? But I heard another gentleman on the show say, these guys are prize fighters. These guys also have a brand that they're trying to sell. And they're trying to lock down some of these biggest fights and potential fights for the future. Some people might say things that are real outlandish, real crazy. We heard Berlanga talk up the Saul Canelo Alvarez fight, and bam, careful what you ask for, young man, because you just might get it. And I said that, yeah, everyone has the right to clout chase and to try to attach their name to another fighter. Ryan Garcia tried to even hint just one time, "Oh, I'll fight Naoya Inoue." And everybody said, "Stop the cap. Just, Ryan, just stop right there."
Stop the cap.
Right? And, he never mentioned it again, because that was a bad look. So what I'm saying is that any fighter has the right to try to, "Hey, I'll fight this guy." Look at Conor Benn. He kind of got off this, slithered his way out of the suspension, and he's calling everybody out. I don't even know what weight division Conor Benn fights in anymore. I have no idea. So you can say all this shit, but there's a flip side to this coin. What happens when the guy that you're calling out pulls up on you in your next fight? Keyshawn Davis, for instance, is in the ring tomorrow, And what if Tank Davis just so happens to want to go to his fight and sit in the front row? Tank Davis has nothing better to do right now. He's like, I don't got to fight. I was going to go on a week's vacation. You know, let me go over here. Let me go see what this dude's talking about. And not until you see him sitting there that shit's gonna be real. Shit just got real. You're gonna have to get out the ring, and Tank's gonna, they gonna let him in the back, and then we're gonna see if you gonna like meet him in the hallway and say, "Hey, how you doing?" You know, or are you gonna go out the other door? Matter of fact, you got to fight to win. I hope you look good in the ring in front of him if he was to pull up on you. And these are the kind of things that these guys say out of their mouth, but sometimes people will call you out on your shit, and all this, him teaming up with Shakur and taking shots at Tank Davis now, it's like, come on, guys, really? Really? I don't know. I don't know. But I know one thing for sure that I think this is my opinion on the Keyshawn Davis fight. I think he's got a real fight in front of him. I think that guy's pretty big. Coming in overweight like this too. That guy had Richard Hitchinson in all kinds of trouble, bro. I remember. I mean, he's not the best technical fighter in the world. No. Keyshawn Davis might be more athletic. I'm not sure how Keyshawn responds in certain boxing situations that he's in trouble. Not boxing situation where the night is going great for you. And Keyshawn's out there fucking looking like $1,000,000, shining on the dude, right? What happens when that guy fights you back? And now you got a fight on your hands. What happens when Keyshawn finally goes down for the first time, like Naoya Inoue did? Will he get up and respond well? How bad would he be hurt? You know, I think I think this is one of his biggest fights. Pedraza was a good fighter, but I think Tank Davis beat the fighter right out of him. He was never the same after that fight. He really wasn't. Um, he had his career went like that after that Tank loss. Yeah, kind of went up and down. Yeah, it just went like that. But they got one opponent in common, and they're gonna use that if they was to ever meet in the build up. Everything that's being said, everything that's happening right now in the world of boxing between those two young men right there, it's just a potential fight because, mind you, Lomachenko retires, Tank Davis is gonna start running out of opponents with big names. Barancek doesn't have a big name, right? And uh if Loma leaves, that just leaves Shakur Stevenson. If he fights Shakur Stevenson, who does Tank have left? So it's good that these young guys are starting. And another young guy that's on the Keyshawn Davis fight card that I'm concerned about is Abdullah Mason. I'm a little concerned about where he's going to fight next. I'm not sure he can make 135 anymore. I'm not. It looked like he struggled to make 135 today. Yeah, today. He looked cut up and everything, but his face just too sunk in for my liking. Like he looks a little too depleted. He looks like and he's young enough that his body bounces back fast. At that age, 20 years old, shit, I could cut weight and drink a fucking gallon of water right here and I'll be fine. And by midday, I'll already feel great. But I don't think he's gonna make another 135, bro. And I don't think if he does, I don't think he's gonna be doing it too long. Abdullah Mason is growing fast, bro. He's growing fast. Well, he's 20 years old. A few years have already gone by since I first watched him. Where all the years going by so fast, right? And he just looks like he's getting big for the division. So I plan on watching this fight card right here. Keyshawn Davis. Look, the stage is set. This is what you asked for. You put this kind of target on your back, Keyshawn, by calling out everybody in the division, not just calling out one guy or a guy in the middle, and to later wait for your moment to call out the top guys. No, Keyshawn decided with only 11 fights, never have fought for a world championship yet. He decided in that moment he's going to shoot his shot. When he did it, it was like in the Fast and the Fury movie. You guys remember in that part in the movie when Vin Diesel told him too early and he hit that button on him? That's kind of what I felt like Keyshawn did. He went too early. It wasn't the right time to send shots out to fucking everybody in the division. He surrounded himself with enemies now. Even though you're not supposed to have any friends, apparently Keyshawn Davis is the only boxer currently in boxing that can have a best friend in his weight division that has a belt that he may one day want, so he can make friends and then claim to have no friends in boxing. Ain't no friends in boxing. Ain't I'll fight all you guys. You guys are all food. Really? Because according to this guy, he's your long lost brother. He's your brother from another mother. You're not fighting him. A lot of guys start off that way. A lot of guys, because coming up in the amateurs or the rankings, sometimes we need other fighters to show us the ropes in the pro setting, what gyms to go with, what coaches to call for sparring, who needs sparring, how do you get your name. And sometimes when you're young in the sport, you look up to some of the other guys. At one point in time, believe it or not, Tank Davis and Shakur Stevenson were cool. And Tank said he wouldn't fight Shakur because brotherhood and loyalty above all. Tank Davis got like Baltimore on his back and loyalty somewhere on his body, I remember, right? Because that's the way he lives his life. That's all Tank Davis knows. Tank is straight, got it straight out of the mud. And in Tank's neighborhood, either you were with us or you were against us. That's how his mentality, his mindset is. So when Floyd Mayweather started training with Shakur Stevenson, Tank cut Floyd off just for sparring and training with Shakur because he felt like he was betraying him. And since Floyd Mayweather had already seen what Tank got, he felt like he was telling them top secret information. Tank now doesn't feel comfortable around you. Tank's the type of man that he's going to tell you what he feels. And he only sees things a certain way. Tank's like, either you with me or you against me. That's all. And it seems like, Tank doesn't do good with reporters reporting. I don't think he likes the feeling that sometimes they report when you're on a high and they speak on you when you're on your lows. It's like he feels like no one should say anything bad or, make a comment about him. But every time somebody says something bad, it could be disrespectful, it could be a comment, it could be all these things. Just know that Tank, he talking about you and that you're that important for people to have you in conversation. So whenever a reporter, even myself, report about you, Tank, you know, listen, personally, I think that Tank Davis is one of the greatest fighters. I believe that kind of fighter will come around, and I think he's here. We have Vasily, we got Shakur, we just got to get him in the ring. That's, it's easier said than done. So I think that Tank Davis is one of the best fighters in the world. Um, he's at the top for a reason. These guys, I get it, but you better put some respect on that man's name. You can say whatever you want, but in the back of your mind, you better treat Tank Davis as the threat that he truly is. You know, until you beat him, until that happens, then I guess talk is just cheap. So we're gonna see. As far as fighters like Subriya Matias is gonna come up November 9th. He's gonna be fighting as well. And I think personally that, you know, Subriya Matias is a type of fighter that he has a short memory. I remember the last time he lost, he has 2 losses, and he fought that guy the second time even better. You know, it's sometimes when you lose to a guy, that guy kinda got your number, and that guy's not scared of you because he already beat you. So Bell never felt like he lost that fight because they gave him like a standing 8 count, right? So I guess it was a kinda like a different scenario. He didn't really like get his butt whooped. Liam Paro outpointing him. But one thing that I can be honest with Subriel, right? In the short time that I've been covering him and I got to meet him in that short time and stuff, you know, I really held back on a lot of my assessment because they was giving him a lot of shit. But the whole time I knew that the style that would give Subriel Matias the most problem was gonna be a real boxer. When a real boxer showed up, that was my biggest fear. I just didn't think Liam Paro could pull it off. He had flares of being a real boxer. I just didn't think that he had the whole package, right? And for as basic as Liam Paro looked and the things he was doing was really smart. You start to notice he started to grab Subriel on the inside. He didn't let him open up. And every time he created that distance, he made Subriel pay. Every time you hit Subriel, he has a bad habit of resetting. So if you can throw punches at him, he'll go in his high guard, he'll reset, and by the time he looks, he's trying to get in position to be right in front of you. So if you can disrupt that on Subriel Matias all night, he's gonna keep resetting in front of you. So as a boxer, you'll be able to outpoint him. Yeah, you just got to make sure that your cardio will last. And that was one of my biggest fears with Subriel Matias. I started watching Subriel Matias in some training videos, right? And it seems like, well, from what I saw, he was utilizing the jab a lot better in the sparring videos that I saw. And like in the Liam Paro fight, his jab was like non-existent. So I see that the training that he's doing now, combined with the fighter that he already is, I think Subriel Matias is gonna make another run at that belt. And Subriel Matias and his team has to be smart. They gotta be smart. And you gotta be honest with yourself. The world saw what Liam Paro did to you, Subriel. The world saw it. And they saw the flaw in your boxing style. They saw the boxing style that gave you the most problems. So anyone from here on in that's going to come into a fight with Subriel Matias, allegedly, Liam Paro has the blueprint of how to beat a fighter such as Subriel Matias. So, but Subriel Matias has to learn, right, that to fix that, it's a really small fix. Subriel Matias is a skilled fighter, right? All you gotta teach him is don't reset as much, use your jab a little bit, and be yourself. Be yourself, Subriel. But you gotta get to the inside to be yourself. So Subriel's gotta notice when the guys want to grab him. He's just gotta get a little distance and not settle into the fact when you're training. You know how when you're sparring in a gym, every time you guys tie up, you guys break up, you relax a little on the break, and then you reset yourself. So Beer can't do is fall under that relax. It's like, okay, break. Okay, let me at him. Boom. No resetting. Boom, 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 boom. Switch it up. Change levels. And Subiela has a good understanding of how to change his punch cadence. I think that's very important. He doesn't throw everything with power. He switches up his boxing cadence. And Subiela's like one of the few boxers that does exactly that. Right? So some people wanted to criticize this next fight with Subriel Matias or Martinez. I guess in real life he's a cop. Did you guys know that? He's a police officer, and he was talking about on some interview. I forget where he was about that. He doesn't take boxing so seriously. He's a full-time cop, but he loves to fight. And if he was to win the Subriel Matias fight, that he thinks that he would take boxing a lot more serious. Well, I guess after the Subriel Matias fight, now he'll know where his future lies. He can be a police officer because Subriel Matias is going to bust that ass. All right. So I don't think that if he's going to put that much pressure on whether or not his career is going to depend on the Subriel Matias fight, well then he can be a law enforcement officer. That's a good career because according to you, you're not going to box anymore and not take it serious if you lose. I'm going to tell you right now, Subriel's going to rock him. So he can give out traffic tickets, parking tickets and stuff. It'll be good for him, I guess, because my man's gonna rock him. So Sabir knows it like I know it. Every fight from here on in is must wins. At his age, I don't think his career can take another setback. So I expect if you beat him, then you beat him. Now I'm not gonna get my feelings hurt or anything. I've seen my favorite fighter lose before. Um, okay, I seen fighters that I'm a fan of. I'm a fan of all boxers, but fighters that I've seen them lose. So it's just another day of reporting boxing. Nothing changes from there. But I believe in Subriel Matias. I don't think he's done. I'm not saying this because I am Puerto Rican or anything. I'm speaking from a boxer's perspective and me covering the sport. No, whether I was green, orange, or brown, it wouldn't matter. There's no way that with Subriel losing his just because he lost his belt, it tells me anything that Subriel lost a step, that he's too old, or that he's not that guy. He lost the fight. All right. He lost the fight. So I still think he's still in it. I still think he's a big threat. I think he's still one of the top players at 140, Subriel Matias. He's in there. When we're talking about the top 10 fighters at 140 pounds, you got to admit that Subriel, no matter where you place him, he's got to be in that top 10. So if you're in the top 10 in any of your weight division, then you're a player in the game, in my eyes. I'm not going to count you out. And that's why I stand by him. That's why I still believe in him. And I know he's one of the top players in the game. You're just gonna have to beat him. He's beatable. They've shown that. Um, I just think that Subriel knows this is it right here, and he's gonna have to perform well. And there's a lot of guys right now. See, because Liam Paro is actually fighting Richard Hitchinson in Puerto Rico. He beats Richard Hitchinson. It would be good because one, Subriel can hit the rematch with the guy that dethroned him. You don't want to have to, and you got history with him, with Ed Hearn. You don't want to have to chase around Richard Hitchison because as a young champion, what happens first, your first instinctive is that you just won a world championship and you're the best fighter in the world in your mind. That's kind of like where you're at. In that moment, you're liable of calling out Superman, Batman, all the most dangerous villains in the world, right? Because you're coming off such a high. No one can tell you shit. You just became world champion. Once you settle down and you walk away and your management comes up to you and your promoter, they say, listen, kid, we understand you just want a belt, but you just went and lost your mind and called out everybody in the world, right? Why don't you slow down? And rather than jumping, you just won the belt, rather than just jumping in the ring with Jerron Boots Ennis, a fighter like that, Brian Norman Jr., why don't you stop and think about this for a second? You just won it, and you're so eager to want to go in the ring with the best guy at 147, rather than defending your belt a little bit more, staying champ for a lot longer. Walk down the street and have people call you champ, right? Then go fight him. Reality starts to set in. Where that at first when they won it, I'll fight anybody, and I believe it. That rush that they were on, they probably would have fought them right there that same night. But once they start thinking about it, and that moment comes down a little, you start to realize these guys are not so eager to put those belts on the line. They're trying to stay champion for as long as they can. Errol Spence Jr. held up that division for years. Terrence Crawford did the same with them belts at 147. He had no intentions on fighting at 147. Zero. And sometimes some of these guys, they want to be champion for as long as they can. And sometimes they realize they're not as good as that guy. They're good. They were good enough to win the world championship. They're good enough to fight the guys in their ranking system for the WBA or whatever belt. They're just not good enough for that guy. Sometimes there's a guy in the division running around with 3 belts, and there's one guy running that way with his belt. And he's been calling out that guy with that belt for a long time, and he's still running in that direction. He don't want none of that smoke. He just wants to remain world champion. And that's what I mean about some of these guys. So listen, fight fans, I'm about to go down and eat my supper. I'm eating it late. I just wanted to come on and touch up with you guys, talk a little bit about boxing tonight. We got a couple big fights coming up leading into the weekend. So, guys, listen, let me read up on your messages here. You guys been dropping a whole bunch of that's in chat. What's up, guys? Legacy, what's up? Nah, oh yeah, I know he's at the top. There ain't no doubt about that, bro. Legacy. There's no doubt about that. Yeah. Like, we're gonna be talking about a lot more of these fights. Please, in the comment section, leave me anything you guys want to talk about and stuff. Um, you know, there's gonna be plenty of fights coming up, so we're gonna have a lot to talk about. I want to see where this Javante Davis and Tank Davis, um, Javante Davis and Keyshawn Davis little thing ends up, and who really wants it. I think that Tank Davis is in a different place in his boxing career, and I think Keyshawn Davis has a lot to prove, and a lot I think he's far away from a man such as Tank Davis right now and what he's done throughout his career and the money that he's kind of making. I don't think that they're in the same room, but I don't think that should say, okay, then Keyshawn Davis really doesn't want to fight him. I think Keyshawn would fight him, bro. Keyshawn's a professional fighter. I don't think he's scared of anybody. But can he win? There's where the difference lies. And is he ready to win? I don't doubt he wants to fight him. I think he'll fight him, but I don't think he's ready. So fight fans, listen, love yourselves. Um, have a blessed night. And if you haven't already, hit and give the video a like, subscribe to the channel. And like always, I'm on to the next one after this one here at Round One Sports Talk. You guys have been amazing. Have a great night. And I will